You probably know many stories where some loser is reborn and gets a second chance. But what if I told you that the lucky person in this story was the last dragon on Earth killed by humans, reborn as a boy named Ray in a small village, training to get stronger, soon entering the academy? And what do you think will happen next? Let's find out. But before we start, let's go back to the very beginning. Dragons with their power have always struck fear into the hearts of men. This inevitably led to them being hunted. Before long, only one dragon remained, and it chose seeking revenge on humans as its final purpose in life. Despite all their efforts, they were killed. He was defeated by superior numbers. But as darkness fell, he began to hear voices, and this leads us to a new beginning. So, that mighty red dragon who hated humans found himself reincarnated in the body of a baby. A helpless baby, spoiled and loved by her father. Of course, being held so familiarly by a human drove this man crazy. But with no wings to fly or claws to strike, the little baby could only wave its arms helplessly. This tiny killing machine whined and whined, finally deciding it was time to unleash its ultimate move. That almighty, scorching dragon breath. That power he once used to turn his enemies to ash. Or so he thought. Because the best thing this little baby could do was blow some air and spit in his father's face. Yes, the divine breath of the red dragon had been reduced to nothing but mere spit. As the little rascal wondered where his magic went, the dragon encountered the final boss. A tiger mom who'll kick your butt if you don't behave. Even the red dragon feared this woman's wrath. But all she did was stroke his face and remind him of his new name, Ray. Such a pathetic name for a mighty red dragon was truly an insult to the beast. It might be tiny right now, but back in its previous life, things weren't like this at all. At the same time, Ray celebrated the chance to be reincarnated. After all, he could finally take revenge on those cold-hearted humans who slaughtered his kind. The dragon, channeling its inner genocidal maniac, swore to wipe out the human race. While she was laughing like a maniac for her age, her father began to wonder just what kind of naughty baby they had brought into the world. Still, this didn't change the fact that his parents loved him the world. While shouting death threats in that tiny baby voice, he suddenly drifted off to sleep. He barely moved his mouth, and he's already knocked out. Rayan's last thoughts before falling asleep were about how pathetic human endurance truly was. The scene changes. We see Rayan growing up a bit more and experiencing a human life. In this short time with his family, he got to know his parents much better. Scarlet and Jake look at her with love and affection. Her mother is a beautiful woman in every way, and her father wins her admiration with his muscular build. Ray watches the villagers interact with their family, and they always treat each other with great respect. They're complimenting each other on things like their swordsmanship skills. This is also where they learn about adventurers. The baby dragon crawls toward his mother, trying to get her attention for some food. This simple gesture impresses the villagers, because they've never seen a baby who is so aware of their own needs before. Strangely, the villagers begin to notice her unusual red hair, which looks nothing like her parents'. The boy's father explains that Ray's hair suddenly started turning red a few days ago. This is great news for the tiny killing machine, who suspects she'll get her powers back soon. Interestingly, as the villagers leave the house, Ray hears them talking about their red hair. They suspect the family might be cursed, and this makes the little dragon of destruction proud of its mysterious aura. Of course, that same aura doesn't seem to affect his parents, who treat him like a harmless little brat. Since she was a dragon in her past life, this tiny killing machine devours her food like an animal and makes a total mess. Oddly enough, no matter how much she tries to upset them, or in her father's case, no matter how much she tries to pee on his face, they still treat her with affection. These two people love her more than anything. They're showing the dragon a kind of love it's never seen before. For a mighty dragon, living with this family is absolute hell. We're told adventurers are rare in this world, and Ray's mother is a mage, which is even more unique. The dragon brat thinks his revenge will be easier once he gains the world's strongest magic, his own dragon powers. Time flies, Ray's turning 2. At this age, every child is given the chance to take the mage assessment, and today is the day Ray finds out if he has mana. As Jake waves and wishes them luck, Ray clings to his mother's arms, and they set off in the horse carriage. The boy says he'll definitely pass the test as the reincarnation of the Red Dragon and a mage's descendant. And if he manages to get his magic back, no one can stop him from returning to the top. Later they arrive in town, and the red-haired brat stretches. Thinking that after the nap, this weak human body would be the only thing to worry about. As Scarlet leads him through the bustling central market, Ray observes everything around him. Adventurers seem to be selling high-quality monster crystals. Meanwhile, a beggar approaches one of the adventurers. And he wants some food, but the man kicks the beggar and warns him not to get in the way. While people thought about how unlucky the beggar was, Ray, who seemed to have noticed them for a while, thought how they still looked down on each other and mocked the weak despite all being human. He remembers his past life as a dragon, where he saw it as his duty to protect the weak and worked hard for it. But in the end, he still failed. Waking up from his memories, they finally arrive at the Roland Academy for the magic assessment. There's a long line ahead. Everyone's waiting for their names to be called. Excited for his turn, Ray looks around and watches the kids having a blast. They're bursting into tears because they failed the exam. When one of the kids makes a scene and whines about how unfair it is, our dragon brat finds him pathetic and sighs, thinking this world has always been unfair anyway. After a while, he dozes off in his mother's arms, and when Ray Talon is announced, it's clear his turn has come. The wizard calls Ray and tells his mother to have her son place his hands on the crystal ball. He explains that if the child has magical talent, the orb will glow, and the color will reveal their elemental affinity. As our boy excitedly reaches out to touch the crystal ball, he dreams of leaving everyone speechless as a mighty red dragon. Full of confidence, waiting for the sphere to glow. As a dragon, he thinks he has mastered every kind of magic in existence. But suddenly, Scarlet starts sobbing, and the child sees the tears streaming down his mother's face. Ray is startled and takes a moment to think. Maybe her mother was shocked by her magical talent. Or she's crying tears of joy because they share the same element. But their dreams shatter once they realize this truth. The crystal ball isn't glowing. It's at that moment the old wizard dampens the boy's spirits and, in a voice full of disappointment, says Ray has no magical talent. Hearing this, the little guy loses it and starts muttering to himself. Man, I was the most powerful red dragon in my past life. A dragon without magic power? He thinks it's total nonsense. Wanting to convince herself, Scarlet mentions she graduated from this academy and asks the mage if he's sure. But Ray, driven mad with rage, thought the wizard messed up and that stupid crystal ball was broken, so he slapped the globe with his tiny hands. The wizard immediately grabs the crystal ball and says there's nothing he can do. But it seems this badly hurts the old dragon's pride, because he angrily spits out his pacifier and questions whether this old man knows he is the ruler of magic. Ours is getting riled up, pulling on the old man's long beard and yanking his mustache in rage. He thinks the wizard lied, hid his talent from his mother, and tried to trick them. While Scarlet panics and tries to stop her son, Ray turns into a total maniac and keeps pulling the beard. The little guy thinks he knows everything about magic, and as a dragon, it's impossible for him not to have a talent for it. It's a total joke. A great legendary dragon not knowing magic after reincarnation is just impossible. On the way home by carriage, Ray assumes heaven is punishing him for killing so many people. But he wonders why he was reincarnated if he was meant to be punished. Then, as if he realizes the situation, a light bulb goes off in his head. Our boy concludes that heaven is testing him, and even if he can't be a mage, he must find another way to get revenge. Later, while everyone's snacking at the dinner table, Ray stares at her father and pleads with him in half-finished sentences to teach her how to fight. Jake wonders if his son wants to learn swordsmanship too. Our guy thinks that even if he can't learn magic, he can still become a swordsman and fulfill his dream of taking revenge on humanity. In the next scene, we see Jake teaching swordsmanship to his slightly older son, Ray. But it seems satisfying that burning desire for revenge won't be as easy as he thought. Our boy's been telling it for 2 years now. He takes sword lessons from his father but can't help losing every time. While Jake and his son practice with wooden swords, Ray prepares his blade. This time, he's determined to beat his father. To defeat him, he observes his father's movements and calculates that as soon as Jake lowers his sword, he must take the opening, spin, and strike from the side. When that moment comes, he takes his chance and tries his planned move. Unfortunately, Ray gets tripped up, and his father's wooden sword lands right on his head. Beaten once again, Ray wonders why it always ends like this. He thinks this body and these clumsy limbs, which can't keep up with his mind, are constantly pulling him down. Later, the poor little guy, knocked out by a blow to the head, opens his eyes in his bed. And Jake is snickering. Seeing him laugh, Scarlet shouts at her husband for mocking him, asking him to be gentler since their son is only 4 years old. It also serves as a reminder that the night trials are approaching. His father mumbles that if he keeps working like this, the boy won't pass the exam. But an angry Scarlet says that Ray is being pushed too hard, that the boy doesn't necessarily have to follow in their footsteps, and that there are many other good professions besides being an adventurer. But Beethoven is trying to convince her he's not forcing his wife. It explains that Rayan's clumsiness stems from her young age and not yet having full control over her body. She adds that they have a whole year ahead and should believe their son can enter the Averian Knight Academy. Upon hearing this, our boy realizes the night tryouts are only a year away and wonders if he can make it. But then he thinks he's the reincarnation of the Red Dragon, and couldn't be as weak as a human. Coming to Raygaza, he reassures his family that he can achieve this. He shouts that he'll be the strongest person anyone has ever seen. Wanting to take training to the next level, Jake gives his son a gift. And out of the package comes a real sword for them to use in training from now on. Ours can't believe he's holding a real sword, but it's just too big for him to lift. Jake claims this sword will help him improve his control faster, and whispers in her ear that he has another gift for her. While our boy wonders why his father is being so mysterious, they reach the warehouse and are met by a magical puppet as a surprise. While Ray tries to figure out what it does, her father warns her not to underestimate it. This puppet runs on magic, and Averian Academy students used it to train their apprentices. But Ray looks at the puppet with suspicion and wonders if what his father said is true. Then Jake challenges his son to attack the dummy, and he accepts the challenge with confidence. After gripping his wrist, Ray swings the sword at the puppet with all his might, and the device starts operating at level 1. But as soon as the sword hits the puppet's shield, the device reacts lightning fast and sends Ray's sword flying. Defeated as the first level ends, the little one is feeling a great deal of disappointment. Seeing his son's long face, Jake immediately tries to comfort him, saying he can pass the night exam even if he doesn't beat the first level. And then he goes on about what strings he pulled to set up this puppet. Hearing this, Ray gets fired up instantly and starts dreaming of passing the exam in record time. It looks like our boy is determined to win this time, but as soon as his battery runs out, he'll come crashing down. Even though he looks like he's working hard, a deep sigh escapes from Ray's mouth. While his body can't keep up with his mind and he's having breakdowns over his weak human shell, if he moves at this snail's pace, forget about revenge. He's eating himself up, thinking he can't even beat that wooden puppet. When a voice from behind suddenly asks why he wants to defeat a puppet, he jumps in surprise. Trying to figure out where the sound came from and readying his sword, he panics when he sees the girl gliding behind him. The blonde girl apologizes to Ray, saying she didn't mean to scare him, introduces herself as Amy, and says she lives in the village. She let it slip that seeing him in the mountains at this hour caught her attention. That's why she wanted to remind him to head down the mountain before sunset. Our guy is getting a bit spooked and asks if this place is dangerous. And Amy starts rambling every morning about how safe this place is. But she adds that since it's so close to the forest, magical monsters might drop in after sunset. Ray finds this interesting and is surprised by how much she knows, while Amy explains she picks fruits and vegetables, so she knows this place like the back of her hand. Then he suggests going down together, since it's about to get dark. And our boy is more than happy to accept this offer. When naming them, it turns out Amy already knew his name because ours. It's quite famous in the village. This doesn't surprise Ray, but knowing exactly why he's famous in the village, his heart sinks and he gets lost in thought. Turns out people admired Talon's family, especially Jake, and when he walked through the village, everyone was eager to talk to him. But when she walked with her red-haired son Ray, some would gossip about him, claiming the boy was cursed and that this curse might even be contagious. It looks like no one in this village has red hair, except for Jake's son. Hearing these harsh words, Ray thinks people respect his family but harbor an irrational fear of him. That's why he feels like a freak that nobody likes in the village. Remembering his past life as a dragon, he wonders if they act this way because of those tales of fierce and terrifying red dragons that adults tell to scare children. Red is a color that symbolizes power. But to them, he is evil itself in human society. Contemplating the irony that humans are greedy enough to destroy their own race, yet in stories, dragons are always cast as the villains to justify their revenge. Inside, Ray cries out that they only did it to protect themselves, but people see it as proof of their cruelty. Ours is about how disgusting human beings are. Lost in thought about what happened, he startles when Amy interrupts to ask what he's thinking. With that, Ray snaps out of it and follows the girl down the mountain. Amy starts the conversation by mentioning she's seen him on the mountain often lately, and asks if he's been training. When our boy said he wanted to be a swordsman, she thought it was cool because Ray's father was the only swordsman in the village. Then he asks if he'll join the Knight Academy, and our guy nods in agreement. Amy keeps chatting away, explaining how she claims her brother will take the exam because he's so strong, and that no one in the village can beat him. But his brother was jealous of him because their father was teaching Ray. After all, normal people don't really have a chance to learn swordsmanship. When Ray asks the girl if she has a brother, the blonde girl gets excited and looks at him with pleading eyes, asking if he wants to be friends with her brother so they can train together. Right then, they're interrupted by footsteps, and it turns out to be Amy's brother, Gary. The guy is rudely ordering our redhead to stay away from his brother. Seeing her brother, Amy protectively steps in front of Ray and tries to explain that he didn't do anything to her. Jerry steps forward and questions her brother about the red-haired boy, reminding him that the boy is cursed and the disease could be contagious. Then he touches her hair to check if the curse changed her hair color. While Amy is annoyed by her brother's rude behavior, the two boys with Gary walk up to Ray, insulting him for hanging out with Amy and calling him shameless. They warn Ray to take his family and get out of town, saying how hard it must be for parents to raise a cursed brat like him. Mumbling that they were just ordinary folk and didn't want any trouble with curses, one of them adds that these stuck-up adventurers have no reason to give a damn about miserable peasants. As soon as these words are out, Ray flies into a rage and lands a heavy punch right on the bully's face. Our boy has finally had enough and tries to hit back, but one of the lackeys steps in and takes the hit instead. But the punch is so hard, it sends Jerry flying back. While ours makes it clear his only concern is taking down anyone who disses his parents, Jerry calls him Ray Talon, saying he knows his mother and father were adventurers and his priest was a swordsman. Assuming he's trained, Jerry calls him to a fight and graciously says he won't use a gun because he doesn't want to kill him. Both of them toss their swords aside, and Ray says the whole lot of them can come at him at once because he doesn't give a damn. The fight continues as they both go at each other. But it turns out our boy's scrawny human body took some serious damage. And as Gary takes the final blow, he spins out and hits the floor. My poor thing collapses to the ground in blood, and Jerry asks if he gave up, but it seems there's no such thing as giving up in Ray's vocabulary. The kid somehow manages to get back on his feet. By the way, Gary is calling her some colorful names that shouldn't be repeated. They just keep on yapping. Supposedly Ray's father was a legendary swordsman who trained him, but our guy is still worthless, blah blah blah. It's a total disappointment then. That bully is even bragging about himself. No sir, his father was just an ordinary merchant, but apparently he was still better at swordplay than him or something. He's just talking big to discourage the kid and kill his enthusiasm. The ruthless brat hit the nail on the head. He says you should quit swordsmanship and go find something you're actually good at. These words echo in Ray's mind, piercing deep into his soul. And the poor child collapses helplessly onto the ground. Back home, Amy gives her rude brother a good scolding. He says you've gone too far. But Jerry defends the mess she made and claims Ray deserved it. And then he warns his sister to stay away from that boy. Because, you know, everyone's scared of that cursed red-haired kid. He said Ray's parents were adventurers, and his own parents were just ordinary people, blah blah blah. Hearing this, Amy loses her cool and yells, "Go eat grass! Make your own meal," he says. Then she storms off, muttering that she hates you. Just then, Gary notices something in his hand. There's a collapse right where he's looking. He's thinking to himself. If he hadn't had his protective gear, his arm would have broken on the first hit, and Ray would have won the fight. Wow. In the next scene, we see Ray. My poor boy came home, but his face is all bruised and cut up. They're covered in mud from head to toe. His mother is busy with dinner at the time. He turns to his son and asks why he's late. But then she sees her kid is all beat up. Worn out. The woman can tell at a glance you've been fighting, of course. Our guy is trying to calm his mom down. He says it happened during practice, but mom doesn't buy it. She knows the boy is lying. He's eaten up inside, wondering if the other kids bullied him. But our stubborn goat Scarlet is in denial even as she looks at her wounds. Ray has always tried to look strong. He's doing the same thing here, acting like, "Mom, I'm a man now." By the way, hearing Sikaglu's wise words, he appreciates him for working hard in training. After all, it's mealtime. But would our boy stop there? He decides to go back to work again. Even if his parents try to stop him, it doesn't take long. He manages to convince them by saying, "I'll be right there." We see Ray in the storage room, setting the dummy to level 1. Used to the puppet's style, he dodges strikes effortlessly while waiting for an opening. He's adjusting his sword. Just as he's about to hit, the sword flies off and stabs into a wooden pole. Ray is in shock, of course. When I try to pull it out, I hear a snap, the sword is cracking. And while he's wrestling with the sword, the puppet smacks him from behind. The poor boy is screaming in pain. The next day, Ray walks better. And he spots Amy. The girl is standing far away. Amy bashfully greets Ray. When ours asks if she was waiting for him, the girl gets even more embarrassed. By the way, she apologizes to him on behalf of her brother. Ray takes the blame, telling the girl, "It's not your fault." And he's just admitting he's not strong enough. Amy, my soft-hearted girl. Her eyes are welling up. Our redhead is literally thinking, "Man, what troubled creatures these humans are." While thinking he needs to learn to socialize, he's trying to comfort the girl. Then he grabs an apple from Amy's basket to show he accepts her apology. The girl tells him not to worry, saying Gary won't bother him again after today. The blonde girl starts showing up at the same spot every day. Before long, our boy gets used to Amy's presence. In the next scene, we see the front of the Talon family's house. Armored soldiers, horses and all, they're everywhere. Jack and Scarlet are talking to the leader of the team. The man explains that nearby villages are being attacked by an unknown entity. When Jack hears this, he gets furious, and it turns out there's no clear eyewitness. But there are already victims infected. And these people are so out of their minds that they can't explain to anyone what's happening. So, the person in charge decided to ask adventurers for help. Scarlet looks worried and a bit confused because it's not normal for those things to show up in populated areas. They usually don't do that. She finds the situation abnormal and insists on going with her husband. But Jack won't accept it. He says it's just a scouting mission, and since Ray has an exam coming up, someone needs to stay home and look after him. Though Scarlet isn't quite convinced, Jack reassures her, saying he'll be back in the blink of an eye. Scarlet finally understands and tells her husband to be careful. In the next scene, we see Ray. He's out of breath from working out, trying to catch his breath. But he's still not happy with his movements. He just can't fully coordinate this human body. He looks behind him and there's Amy, reading a book. When he sees the girl, his heart starts racing, of course. The moment he realizes the situation, he slaps himself to snap out of it. Then he walks up to the blonde girl and says that's enough for today, it's time to go home. Amy was so absorbed in her book that she didn't even notice the time. They start heading down the mountain together. On the way, Ray asks the girl, "Are they bullying you in the village because of me?" Since she has red hair, people always say she's cursed. When she hears this, she tells everything her friends said about Ray. And he says if that's what they think, it's their problem. Because to him, red hair isn't scary. Actually, it looks cool. Then he calls out her name. And he says she's someone special, whether she's a redhead or not. And he wraps it up by saying just be yourself. This last sentence strikes a chord in Ray's mind, and he remembers what Gary told him. Do what you're good at. A smile spreads across her face when she notices this. Excitedly, he thanks Amy and waves goodbye. As soon as he arrives home, he rushes to the workshop and levels up the puppet to level 1. He takes the sword in his mouth. He puts his hands on the wooden floor and takes a position. And returning to his true self, our boy starts acting like a monster. It's much more agile since it uses all 4 limbs. Moving like a rocket. The moment he spots an opening, he strikes with all his might. And that's it. Moving to level 1. His success fuels him, but he decides to push his limits. But having reached level 1, she could have easily passed the Knight Academy exam. But no, it's unlocking the 2nd level. It's early morning, and we see Jake getting ready for his mission. Ray just woke up and watches his father getting ready, wondering where he's going. His father apologizes and says he'll leave for a while, but will definitely be back before the exam. Lastly, Jake wants his son to work on the puppet as much as possible while he's away. He looks at Ray and smiles brightly. And he fully believes he can defeat that puppet. Our redhead was just about to tell her father of her small victory, when Jake's crew at the door calls him for the mission. As he leaves, Jake tells his wife to take good care of herself and says how much he'll miss her. Meanwhile, Ray is standing there with a sneaky smile. He thinks to himself, "Oh please, we just beat a puppet, it's no big deal." He decides to give the old man the real big shock when he returns home. And he sets off for the mountains to train. She wonders how Jake will react when he sees that she won while on the road. He thinks seeing his father's face will be quite fun. He realizes the reason he's solving problems is entirely because of that tip Amy gave him. Our boy realizes he's becoming more and more human while feeling both excited and grateful. Ray reminds himself that people are terrible creatures. But his parents and Amy are exceptions, of course. That's why he won't take revenge on them. While continuing to climb the mountain, he wonders if Amy won't show up today. But then he realizes just how much he's looking forward to the girl's arrival. He immediately pretends not to care and comforts himself by saying, "At least now no one can interrupt my workout." Our guy reminds himself that he's a magnificent red dragon and shouldn't be dulled by simple human emotions. In the next scene, we see Ray has already passed out and is snoring away. Ray suddenly opens his eyes and wakes up, realizing it's very late, and if he doesn't get home right away, he'll be in for some serious nagging. While running down the mountain, it occurs to him not to thank Amy, and he decides to thank her first thing tomorrow. Returning to the village at dusk, he sees people gathered, heatedly debating about searching the western side. Turns out they're Gary and Amy's parents. They're interrogating the blacksmith who claims to have seen the children. The blacksmith also admits those 4 kids came to his shop this morning to buy new weapons. And describes hearing the blonde boy telling the others that they're going into the forest to hunt magical beasts. While Amy and Gary's parents are terrified of losing their children, the mother of the other 2 kids, Bob and Kylie, grabs the smith by the collar and blames him for letting the kids go into the woods alone. The terrified poor man tries to calm her, explaining he didn't know they were really going into the woods. Afterwards, the blonde boy's father orders the blacksmith to call the guards and sets out to search all together. Because the forest is very dangerous at night. As the old man goes to do what he's told, he thinks about Gary, our red-haired boy walking home, and his missing little gang. Karma, I guess, they got what they deserved, he thinks to himself. He wonders if they might have been killed by magical beasts. So he's cheering up because he'll be getting rid of the trouble he's in. Until Amy came to mind. Trying to force himself not to think of her, Ray shrugs it off, but remembers how well she treated him. She doesn't want to get revenge on him, or anything. But you see, the girl's brother is a total idiot. On the other side, the people are gathering torches and supplies, getting ready to head into the forest. While our boy decides to walk away, he keeps thinking about how short a human life is. And he thinks their murder is only a matter of time. But at that moment, an image of Amy appears in his mind. He reminds himself he has his own path to walk, wondering what this feeling is that makes him question his decision. Then he turns around without a second thought. After all, he knows Amy is innocent. He hasn't even thanked her yet for helping him defeat the puppet. The scene moves to the forest. We see 2 magical beasts getting badly beaten there. Kyle and Bob are lying unconscious on the grass. Jerry is trying to protect her sister, who's sobbing in fear, from the monster. He's telling Amy not to move. And with the sword in hand, he prepares to fight the monster. Ray sniffs the air as he runs toward the forest and instantly smells blood. Just as he thinks Amy is in danger, he finds a dead baby demon wolf on the ground. And he examines the still warm sword slash on the wolf's belly. This gives him a clue that children are nearby. But he gets confused because the footprints and signs all around are getting mixed up. Confused about which way to go, he hears a scream. That sounds like Amy's scream. Gary, fighting the monster, is thrown against a tree by an adult demon wolf and crashes to the ground. Meanwhile, the demon wolf approaches to attack Amy. The poor girl covered her head, closed her eyes tight, and prayed for someone to come help. Right then, he hears the slash of a sword, opens his eyes, and sees Ray fighting the wolf, thrusting the blade into its mouth. While Ray checks if Amy's okay, things aren't looking good for Jerry and the others. The girl warns Ray to be careful, but it's already too late. The wolf swings its paw and scratches Ray's arm. Seeing the boy wounded, Amy is horrified and screams his name. But she assures Ray that she's fine and won't die that easily. Then he jumps onto a tree branch to lead the wolf away from Amy. But when the wolf bites and breaks the branch, Ray falls down instantly. Our boy's worried, thinking this body is too weak to stand against an adult wolf. It looks like Ray is struggling to fight the adult wolf on his own. He realizes his speed is worthless, and he can't get him out of there. In the past, this demon wolf would have been a snack for him, but now he can't even wound it. He threatens the demon wolf, saying those people belong to him, and he won't let it touch them. Knowing he can't hold on much longer, our boy takes an attack stance and aims for the wolf's weak spot. Ray grabs the sword with his teeth and strikes with all his might, wounding the beast's eye. But he's still mad at himself because the damage is so low. Then he thinks back to the past, imagining how he could shatter that thing with a single blow. But now, a person needs their weapon. The demon wolf is attacking once again. And this time our dragon waits, looking for an angle. With a swing of his sword, he severs one of its legs and the wolf collapses. While Ray is fully focused on Amy, Hurt attacks out of nowhere, but Ray dodges this sneaky move. He grabs the sword with his mouth again and strikes the wolf with all the strength he has left. And finally, he finishes the job. Eventually he collapses, and just as he's about to lose consciousness, a screen appears before him. It reports that a new skill has been unlocked, and you've gained a mid-level monster crystal. Critically injured, he questions the point of this useless info on the screen. Looking at the unconscious siblings, he thinks he must save them, or the scent of blood will attract more magical beasts. Walking toward them, trembling with pain, he takes the rest on his shoulders. And Amy is carrying it in her arms. When our boy catches a glimpse of the red-haired kid carrying himself and faints again, he realizes this is his limit, and he can only save 2 people. The other 2 children, Bob and the one lying unconscious in the woods, are forced to leave the castle behind. He thinks he's done everything he can and that the rest is now out of his control. Breathing heavily while leaving the dark forest, villagers set out with torches and weapons to search for the children who entered. The moment they see them come out, they immediately notify the children's families. One of the villagers notices he's the red-haired boy from the Talon family. Losing blood along the way, Ray tells the villagers to help Gary and Amy, who are unconscious, saying they might need treatment. As our boy collapses, the villagers start whispering about this redhead coming out of the forest with 2 children. They're discussing why children entered a forest full of magical monsters in the middle of the night. While they're gossiping, a mother runs toward them and loses it when she sees 2 of her kids, Bob and the bouncy castle, are missing. Looking around in a panic, glancing over at Gary and Amy. That's the moment their father explains that only his children made it out of the forest alive. The woman frantically tries to enter the forest, but the villagers stop her, telling her to calm down and that she can't go there alone. Calling them cowards, the woman dives into the forest to find her mother and children in pain. But seeing those terrifying eyes of magic beasts makes their skin crawl. He's terrified and immediately runs back to the villagers. While the villagers grumble about their return, the terrified woman claims she's not afraid at all. Fuming with rage, he grabs Ray by the collar and asks where Bob and the castle are. He blames everything on the red-haired boy. She claims her kids are well-behaved, that they had no reason to go there, and that this kid definitely tricked them into the woods. Convinced it was Ray who tricked them, that witch slaps the boy across the face, shouting that she knew those red locks were an omen of bad luck all along. Ray keeps calling me a disaster-bringing jinx magnet. The other villagers hear this and start whispering, thinking the redhead really did trick those kids. After all, he's the only one who made it out alive. The villagers blamed Ray for everything and kept pressuring the poor boy to speak. They keep asking where you're taking their kids. Blinded by rage, the mother keeps slapping Ray's face. She's asking why he only brought Gary and Amy, and where his own children are. With great effort, the poor boy, barely able to speak, tells the woman that her children are in the forest. The woman calls him a cold-blooded monster and tosses the boy aside. She's complaining. They're just kids, how could you leave them to die? She says she'll never forgive Ray for what he did, begging the villagers to come to the forest with her, but they refuse with 1,000 excuses, muttering about children waiting at home. Meanwhile, our boy, in his miserable state, wonders if they've forgotten he's even a child, or if they don't even consider him a person at all. She thinks these cruel people see her as a monster, not a child, just because she has red hair. The woman grabs a torch from someone's hand and walks towards Ray. She says she'll never forgive him, and that this red-haired monster needs to die. Watching these people, Ray thinks they are far more terrifying than any monster, that they are the real monsters. As the woman raises the torch to kill him, his life flashes before his eyes, but he just smiles slightly, accepting that he'll die by a torch. As a red dragon, he spends his final moments thinking about what a humiliating end this is. The moment the woman lowers the torch toward Ray, someone jumps right in front of her. Turns out it was Jerry who stopped the attack with this protective gear. Seeing the blonde boy save Ray, the villagers claim he's lost his mind and that the monster has bewitched Jerry as well. While they shout to kill the monster the blonde boy is protecting, Jerry gives them a deathly glare. He says they're the ones who've gone mad, wanting to kill him based purely on assumptions. Protecting the redhead, Jerry stands in front of her and warns the villagers not to touch her. It screams that Ray is his savior. After that terrible incident, our boy sees that woman in his dreams. That woman who blamed her for everything, slapped her, and called her a catastrophe star. He also remembers the sorcerers sent after him in the past to kill him. Ray, dreaming of those asking him to sacrifice his life and wanting him dead, wakes up in terror and looks at his mother. Seeing his mother hold his hand and cry for him in her sleep, he thinks about how beautiful and yet how cruel people can be. The moment he sits up, Scarlet wakes up. Seeing him awake, she's over the moon with joy. He wonders if this is a dream. His mother hugs him tightly, feeling grateful. Because he thought Rayan would never wake up again. When she hugs him tight, Ray screams in pain. Scarlet realizes he's still hurting and says he deserves it for being reckless. Curious, our boy asks how long he's been asleep, and his mother explains he's been out for a whole week. Shedding tears of joy, Scarlet says she didn't know how she'd explain it to her father if he hadn't woken up. Hearing this, Ray asks about the others in the forest, and his mother says the 2 children he saved are slightly injured but fine. But Bob and the castle are still missing. He assumes they were killed by monsters. Then we go to Scarlet's flashback, back to the forest when she sees her son being beaten by the villagers. Jerry's trying to protect Ray, making sure they get it through their heads that those brats went into the woods alone and Ray saved their butts. But the villagers don't seem convinced. When Scarlet sees her son lying unconscious on the ground, she snaps, cranks up her magic, and starts to glow. Villagers stepped in to calm him, but they keep preaching that your boy led the kids into the forest and must take responsibility. And they have the nerve to add, "You're a mother too, you'll understand." As Scarlet picks up her battered son, she gives them such a deadly look that I swear she'd eat them alive right then and there. The woman, who beat Ray black and blue, starts to tremble with fear. Then the other woman, whose children are trapped in the forest, wails and begs the villagers to save her babies. The villagers feel sorry for her too, muttering how she'll ever live without them. Standing with her son in her arms, Scarlet hears people gossiping behind her back. It's about Ray, of course. While they were whining about how we should have stayed away from that cursed brat, one of them warned the other who was bad-mouthing Talon's kid. "Hugh up! You're being too loud, brother. That gossip's just smirking and twisting the truth." "No way, I was talking about the forest. He's just playing dumb." Hearing these disgusting words about her son, Scarlet picks Ray up and leaves. Stopping her trip down memory lane and returning to the present, the woman strokes her son's head and tells him, "Don't blame yourself, honey," adding, "Everything's over and done with now. By the way, everything about that Gary kid is pee. Sorry," he says he's explaining it and pumps him up saying, "Ray, you were great, my lion." His mother leaves the room to get him something to snack on. As soon as she leaves, Ray starts fixating on that weird thing that popped up right in front of him in the woods. While everyone's wondering if they have this screen too, he taps into that power called Dragon Eye's Blessing. The power activates the moment it's touched. When our boy spies on his mom's energy levels, besides being terrified, he's shocked to realize he's always had this ability. He reminisces about the days when he was a red dragon with all kinds of magic. But ever since failing that talent test, he didn't think he'd see those powers again, even in his dreams. Ray, grinning from ear to ear after getting his powers back, thinks his skills will unlock one by one. Then he examines the mid-level monster crystal he acquired. Did this drop after killing that mid-level demon wolf? He asks himself. Then smoke starts filling the room, and he starts coughing uncontrollably. Ray opens the window and hears the villagers shouting, "The house is on fire, run!" Just then, her mom bursts in, shouts there's a fire, and tells Ray to run for her life before the flames take over. But the flames are starting to dwarf him. She steps in with her scarlet magic and stops the fire. While Ray clings to his mother like a koala, the dragon opens its eyes and starts looking for the bastard who burned the house down. Ray x-rays the villagers and spots the culprit instantly. Turns out she's Bob and Kayla's mother, just standing there with the fire still burning in her hand. Flames have swallowed the entire house. The villagers are shocked to see Talon's house on fire, but they immediately blame it on that cursed brat. Scarlet works her magic again, scattering the fire like the wind and putting it all out. When the fire is completely out, the villagers start whispering again, murmuring that the curse is at work once more. They're fearmongering, saying if this cursed redhead brat stays here, the whole village will be in ruins. Ray's heart breaks hearing this, of course. When his mother chimes in and asks, "Were you scared, son?" he snaps out of it. He shakes the thoughts from his head and takes his mother's hand. "Mom says you look so cool blowing out those flames." Walking back home, Ray stews over those heavy words. These people wanted to burn down our house, and even burn us inside it. When he's convinced that people want to kill them, he snaps, burning with a desire for revenge. Then our boy runs off to practice, and his mother shouts after him, "Slow down, son, your wounds haven't healed yet." Ours reaches the forest, and draws his sword. The dragon opens its eyes and perks up at the sight of nearby low-level magical beasts, seeing them as easy prey. One of the monkey-like creatures in the tree picks an apple and begins to bury it. Ray eyes the monkey, sneaks up behind it, and plunges his sword into the animal. Turns out our boy got fired up and sent 20 monsters to their graves. After taking them all out, the dragon's system pops up and shows something like, "Congrats, you dropped a monster crystal." Ray looks at the screen and says, "Just my luck." He killed 20 monsters and only got 2 crystals. While wondering what would happen if he swallowed one, he spots a little wolf lingering around its family's corpses. Ray tries to pet the little guy, says, "You're with me now, buddy, we're gonna fight." Then suddenly the screen turns on. A notification pops up about a chance to tame the black demon wolf cub. Ours is just trying his luck, saying, "Just hit it," before even knowing what it is. He gets excited seeing it work and how she wins the wolf over. But when he learns his pet has crawled inside his body, our boy completely loses his mind. In shock, he asks the dragon system, "There are no side effects, right? Will it come if I call?" While Ray glares at the little dragon, snapping that he'll kill him if this doesn't work, that annoying dragon system just shakes its head. Right at that moment, another new talent unlocks. But then he postpones it, saying, "I'll look later, I'm busy." With the dragon's eye, he sets out to find the 2 missing brats and locates them. He sees they're on top of the hill and reaches the place. This cave-like place is littered with corpses and skulls everywhere. Ray sees Bob and 2 bodies that look like forts. It looks like the monsters ripped out their organs and ate them all up, leaving nothing but clothes and bones. Our guy takes his clothes and throws them in the basket for identification. When night falls, Scarlet Ray keeps nagging me not to push myself too hard at practice since I'm not better yet. Ray's like, "Mom, leave me alone, stop nagging." His mom says, "Ooh, we're getting rebellious, I see," and then lectures him for getting his clothes dirty. When Ray tells her he's working tomorrow too, Scarlet seems to give up and drops a bombshell. Her dad's coming home in a few days so he could work with her. Our boy is over the moon when he hears this. He can't wait to show his father his grades. But his mother, roaring with rage, orders him to tuck in his blanket and go the hell to sleep. This scolding, which overwhelms the boy, teaches him how real the primitive fear of the human race is. When midnight comes, Ray opens his eyes and waits awake in his bed. Leaving for the warehouse, he takes the bucket of clothes from the forest and another bucket full of blood. On the other side, someone's knocking at Bob and Kale's door. Mom walks downstairs, wondering who it could be at this hour. Hoping to see her children, she opens the door and shouts their names to see if they've returned. But his eyes catch something standing in front of the door. His son immediately realizes these are the castle's clothes. The woman picks the clothes up from the floor and notices footprints that seem to lead somewhere. He follows the footprints to find his children, shouting that he's come to get them. But the tracks lead him deep into the forest. Noticing how dark it has become, he grips his flashlight tightly and decides not to go deeper into the forest. Right then, she sees her son Bob's clothes hanging in a tree. Frightened, he shouts their names and runs toward them. When the hostage woman approaches the tree he's hiding in, our boy lets go of the rope and a bucket full of blood pours right over her head. The blood-stained woman screams frantically, asking who did this. That's when he jumps from the tree, stands before her, and says he already knows she's the cursed red-haired monster, and is having an outburst, calling her a disaster and demanding her children back. Standing in the middle of the forest, they are surrounded by dangerous magical beasts. Ray slowly retreats while standing in the dark, unaffected by the monsters. With deadly seriousness on her face, she keeps backing away as she's cornered by forest monsters. As blood splatters everywhere, he coldly watches the monsters tear the woman apart. The next day in town, people begin to whisper that the curse is real. They decide not to cross the Talon family. Ray appears behind them with a training sword, giving the gossiping villagers a death stare. Trembling with fear, the villagers try to save face by being polite, saying good morning and telling him he's been training very hard. As he walks away, the villagers breathe a sigh of relief while our boy thinks to himself that new rumors are spreading, and this time, he likes them. Arriving home, Ray notices many horses out front and gets excited, thinking her father has returned. But when he goes inside, he sees his mother crying. Thinking something happened to his father, he runs to his mother and asks what's going on. Sobbing, Scarlet Ray says her father is sick but will get better soon. Seeing his father critically ill, Ray activates his dragon eye and notices a status higher than any he's ever seen in a living being before. Even when he's a dragon, Jake suddenly tries to say something and mutters that the shadows will kill everyone. That's when the wizards reveal that Jake has been caught in a shadow plague. He was attacked by a shadow monster while trying to protect a villager during a mission. Hearing this, our boy thinks he's never seen anything like it before. He is stunned, wondering when these monsters appeared, and questions what happened to the world after he died as a red dragon. While his mother thanks the mages for bringing Jake home, the mage apologizes for failing to protect him. Ray checks the dragon system, thinking he might help his father with a spell. Then he thinks of a high-level spell. He used to know a spell that could break any curse or dark magic, but now he doesn't know how to unlock it. He thinks if that magic unlocks by killing magical beasts, it'll probably have to be a high-ranking one. He accepts the fact that he's currently weak and can't handle a magical beast. The red-haired boy turns to his mother and asks, "If I join the Averian Knight Academy, can I get even stronger?" A crying Scarlet tells him that this is where her father once trained, and so she will become a strong warrior just like him. Hearing this, our boy gets excited and decides to ace the exam. She plans to become a student at Averian Academy to find a way to save Jake. With a heavy heart, his mother hugs him and confesses her belief that he can do this. In the next scene, we see a church with people wearing hooded cloaks that look like monks. Among the priests, the great elder tells the others that the prophecy has been revealed and a great change is coming to this world. Others are wondering what kind of change this could be. It turns out the prophecy is about Ray. The great elder wonders if the boy will bring salvation or disaster. The future is still uncertain. Right after, the elder orders the knights to be notified to find the boy as soon as possible. If he brings salvation, they will lead the way. But if it brings disaster, they'll have to destroy it. The next scene takes us to the Averian Knight Academy's exam day. Everyone's lining up excitedly, waiting to see the knights. Everyone cheers when the knights arrive. They see the quite attractive knight Delbert. People are saying she's just like the rumors say. The girls love him and think he's very handsome. Because they only get to see the knights once a year, and that's on exam day. To cheers and applause, the knights arrive at the arena. Winfred introduces himself as a knight of the Averian Academy and welcomes the children. After introducing the famous Sir Delbert and Sir Bernardo, Winfred announces they will oversee the exam and clarifies that to join the academy, they must showcase their best skills. With the sword dummy in place, Winfred orders the candidates to step forward one by one. Just then, the first test begins and a boy steps forward. The boy looks down on the wooden puppet and walks up, sure he'll win with raw strength as his parents cheer him on. He tries to strike as he attacks the dummy, but the dummy slaps him hard, and the boy fails the test in less than a second. Parents who were cheering for their sons just moments ago are now in shock and falling silent. As the second candidate is called, Ray is lost in memories of Jake explaining exactly how the puppet works, and he must defeat the level 1 wooden puppet. The red-haired boy looks at the puppet, noticing it's not moving, yet its defense speed is incredibly high. And the counterattacks are neck and neck with the adults, but our boy breaks from his thoughts at the sound of Delbert and Winfred. It looks like he can hear them from way off, which is probably because he collected more monster crystals. Their senses are becoming sharper. The knights seem to be blabbing about what a waste of time it was coming here. But they have to obey the old man's orders. Delbert floats the idea that a knight must be of noble blood, because he can't wrap his head around why they're wasting time with these filthy peasants. Winfred, who's heard this and seems cooler than Delbert, thinks he's being too harsh and went a bit too far. Already fed up, Delbert falls into total despair after several rounds without a single successful candidate. Right then, he rushes back onto the stage, giving everyone his famous grin as he passes the test, and Sir Bernardo declares his success. The villagers start gossiping about how much potential he has. Meanwhile, Ray feels embarrassed for Gary and thinks, "What the hell is this guy doing, for God's sake?" She thinks to herself. Our boy steps onto the stage as the next candidate, and instantly becomes the center of attention. Winfred and Delbert turn their attention to Ray, knowing he's the boy the old man mentioned. Meanwhile, the villagers start whispering that he's cursed, and that what happened to Jake was because of his hex. They think your hair is red as blood and it fills them with terror. The villagers keep grumbling, muttering that Rayan is just a jinxed monster who could never be a knight, thinking it's all just a joke. But our guy doesn't care at all. He takes off his hoodie and walks toward the stage. At that moment, Bernardo tells the candidate to get ready, as the test will start in 1 minute. Right then, Delbert approaches Bernardo and admits he doesn't believe in the prophecies. According to him, if the prophecies are true, this red-haired brat must pass the test at any cost anyway. To test the boy, he activates the puppet's level 3 despite Knight Bernardo's objections. With a hum, the puppet moves at lightning speed and goes after Ray. Bernardo and Winfred, trying to warn Ray, shout that he'll die if he doesn't pull back. But before they can even speak, Ray takes the puppet's head off with his sword in the blink of an eye. A deathly silence fills the air in the face of what happened. As the wooden puppet's head falls to the ground, the knight's jaw drops, and Bernardo looks too stunned to speak. Winfred proudly tells him to announce the results. The knight then congratulates the boy for passing the test, while Scarlet is proud of her son, and Jerry looks on in disbelief that he actually passed. Ray leaves the village with the knights and says goodbye to his unconscious father. She tells her father not to worry and promises she'll find a way to heal him. Ray gets emotional watching his father, and just then, Scarlet arrives. He seems to have something in his hand, and it turns out to be a pendant. Her mother puts this necklace on Ray, a family heirloom that she hopes will bring her luck. Afterwards, Ray tells his mother he's leaving and asks her to take care of herself. Scarlet's worried about him, and Ray tells her to be careful, promising to be there whenever she's in trouble. Our boy is comforting his mother and declaring he's a man now. Right after, as he leaves, Scarlet bursts into tears. When he reaches the meeting point, he's told to get in the car with the other boy waiting inside, wondering who it could be. Our guy realizes it's Gary. Both of them look embarrassed as they look at each other, while Ray wonders if only the two of them passed, and as they set off, the atmosphere between them gets extremely awkward. On the way, Gary finally builds up the courage and apologizes to the red-haired boy, admitting he treated him badly and even hit him. He bows his head in apology, admitting he was being foolish back then. Our boy is surprised at first, but then he accepts the apology. It blows his mind to face the fact that Gary is just a 5-year-old brat, and he throws it in his face that Ray is the same age. By the way, our boy is getting a bit spooked and is changing the subject. He asks about Amy, wondering why she didn't show up for the exam today. Hearing this, Gary's circuit's fried, of course, because he thinks his sister told him she's going to the Roland Magic Academy. It looks like this is the first time Ray's heard the name, and he's secretly wondering why Amy never told him she had magic. On their way to the Knight Academy, they suddenly hear one of the knights shout to stop the carriage, and it screeches to a halt. Both of them poke their heads through the curtains, see that thick fog, and go into a "what the hell is going on?" mode. Winfred shouts that they are knights of the Averian Academy, and orders the others to say who they are immediately. A girl emerges from the mist, battered and bruised, crying out for help and introducing herself as Woodwork, an adventurer mother from the Tres Lanka. When Bernardo asks about the incident, the poor girl collapses in his arms. When I tell the knight his team was attacked by shadow monsters, they're all shocked. Bernardo is terrified when he hears this. He wonders why shadow monsters are here, when we didn't encounter a single magical beast on the way. There was no traffic at all. With that overconfidence of his, Delbert thinks the monsters are hiding because they probably know how powerful they are. Winfred tells the girl they're going to Rennie, and can give her a ride if it's on their way. And thanks the knight and accepts, but wonders why they're going to Rennie instead of back to the Knight Academy. Delbert, standing there, hears this and tells the blonde guy not to be stupid, saying there's no point in sending kids to the front lines. Our guys are just staring blankly, wondering what the front line has to do with anything. Sir Delbert, that the Averian Knight Academy is at the border. So he's explaining that you could be attacked at any moment. Right then, Winfred steps in and blurts out that they also need to train Rennie for 10 years to grasp the basics of combat before attending the Averian Knight Academy. Hearing the words, 10 years, Ray is speechless. He thinks what's a blink of an eye for a dragon isn't the same for a human, and wonders if fatherhood can wait that long. Meanwhile, Back Hunter is breaking into a cold sweat because the woman is the sole survivor and Ray's father might have also been attacked by the shadow monsters. Even the knights seem terrified to hear that shadow monsters are behind this. I honestly wonder what the hell they'd do if they ran into them. Right at that moment, hearing that snap, our guy starts to stay alert. Winford is shouting to everyone, "Get ready, something big is coming our way." It turns out the one who arrived was the Drop Bear King, who had also turned into a shadow monster. The three knights immediately draw their swords and prepare for battle. The shadow monster creeps through the bushes. Right then, the knight is about to attack Bernardo, but our clumsy knight doesn't look like he'll dodge in time. Ray jumps onto the scene just in time, slays the monster, and saves Bernardo's neck. Then he tells the kids to protect themselves, but Winford is stunned. He's wondering why the Drop Bear King isn't moving. Winford's getting suspicious, like the creature is waiting for something. Meanwhile, my poor boy is struggling with the shadow monsters, and one even gets its claws into him. Right then, the dragon boy steps in, slams his sword onto the monster's back, and shouts at the blonde boy to watch out. Because these creatures are many times stronger than demon beasts. The Drop Bear King lets out a roar that echoes everywhere. The impact is so strong that the knight is literally flying through the air. The crowd can barely stand while the knight gets swept away. While Garrett is wondering what this thing is, Ray seems to have figured it out. The monster over there is way out of their league. They can't compete. The knight is trying to figure out why the creature didn't attack and just stood there. The giant shadow monster points his finger at Winfort and begins to speak. He's blathering about how they'll never defeat the shadows and how the shadows will take over the whole continent. When the monster speaks, the other knights fighting them are left speechless, of course. The shadow monster lashes out at Winforda, saying you're doomed to lose. And to top it off, they say the ones by your side will end up dead. Hearing this, Ray is left stunned. The knights are paralyzed with fear. They understand what the monster is trying to say, but they see it as a direct threat to them. Just then, the giant shadow monster roars, leaps into the air, and bolts. Looks like the monster got away. Whitford says you should be grateful they didn't fight, otherwise leaving here in one piece would have been impossible. While Rayan activates the dragon system and pockets the crystal, our boy is lost in deep thought. It feels as if that monster spoke directly to her. Afterwards, Winford congratulates Ray and Gary. Well done, guys. You reacted well. He says you'll make solid knights. Ray jumps right in and asks if these creatures always talk this much. Winford replies that they had never seen any shadow monsters at the border before. It was the first time the man had met a talking monster. Then he looks at our redhead's deadpan face and wonders how this kid can stay so calm. Because normally, someone that age should be wetting themselves. While they're talking, we see Delbert in the back, looking like he's about to kill our redhead. The guy is literally disgusted by him. Anyway, when they arrive at Rennie with their horses, they are met by an army of guards. With more guards around than usual, Whitford gets suspicious, grabs one of them, and asks, "What's going on? Why the crowd?" While the huntress thanks the knights for their escort, the guard drops a bombshell. The kingdom of Aller is on Amber Alert. All cities and towns are under surveillance. Hearing this, the knight realizes the gravity of the situation. If the kingdom issued an Amber Alert, it means things have gone south. The continent is officially on the brink of a crisis. Then he turns to Ree, wondering if this brat is the child of prophecy who's supposed to save us. Meanwhile, our boy, trailing behind, thinks of his father, certain he'll become a knight. He's all hyped up thinking things are just getting started. Her father has to wait until he becomes a knight. Now we're jumping 10 years into the future. A class is being held at the academy in the town of Rennie, the teacher's making the students sweat. He asks what it's called to master the other skill when most knights can't use magic. The dummy in class raises their hand and blurts it out. The knights use the answer raw, teacher. With practice, they would strengthen their bodies and senses. Some chi masters could even briefly surpass human limits. The teacher likes the answer. He says, "Well done, son, you've studied your lesson well." The woman won't stop, she keeps asking questions. So why can she only be trained after age 15? And he's pointing at Ree with his hand. But when she looks back, she sees that Ray's seat is empty. Ours ditched class and bolted, then came back all sweaty, giving the teacher some story about going to the bathroom. The coach isn't buying it, but he keeps going. He asks Sylvia, a stunning girl with silver hair. So the girl starts telling the story. Working out cold puts extreme pressure on the body. Human organs complete their development at age 15. That's why you need to start after this age. This minimizes the damage to the body. The teacher warns the students to get this into their heads and not to forget what they've learned. Sylvia looks meaningfully at Rayan's empty desk. The scene changes. We see the black demon wolf that Rayan tamed long ago. Kurt is fighting another magical wild boar and tears the wolf apart. Ray wins a monster crystal as a reward. Our boy is already snatching up the power of a beginner-level crystal. He pats the black wolf on the head and says, "Good job, buddy." He thinks he's hunted enough for today and decides to head back to school before someone gives him an earful. He'll be in trouble for skipping class. Just as he's about to turn, Winfred appears behind him on his horse and says, "What a surprise to see you here." Turns out he was curious who he'd run into on the way back. Looking at the monster Ray brought down, the knight can't hide his admiration. He's surprised how you got past such tight security. As they walk together, Winfred says, "You've grown, my boy, since we last met." Ray doesn't hold back and returns the compliment. She mumbles, "You haven't changed in 10 years, wondering how old the man is." Winfred brushes it off as a secret. But he's getting to the main point. He heard from the teacher that Ray skipped class to hunt magical beasts. He adds that he collected quite a lot of loot. Ray starts spilling it when he hears this. He says it's all thanks to the amber that was recently removed. So ours has no trouble slipping away. With a relaxed tone, he tells the knight he'd much rather roam around here than sit in that boring classroom. Watching Rayan's indifferent attitude, Winfred says she should be grateful he didn't go any further. Because if the guards on the perimeter had caught him wandering around like this, they would have shown him no mercy. Right then, an idea comes to the knight, and he tells Ray he's stopping by his house. She's telling the kid about his father's condition. She says that because his mother takes such good care of him, Jake's condition isn't worsening and remains stable. Winfred touches his shoulder and conveys his mother's message to Ray. The poor woman said, "Don't wear yourself out over your father, don't worry." Our boy's face drops, of course. He says thank you and starts thinking about how hard he's worked on his education for the last 10 years and what he's done. And he remembers how you drove yourself to work hard. But you see, no new skills were unlocked, and nothing changed over the years. Everything is standing still. As a result, she has no idea what she can do about her father's situation. Right at that moment of sadness, Winfred tries to cheer her up. He pats her shoulder and pulls her tight toward him. She's making our boy blush and trip over his own feet. As they walk to town, the knight tells Ray to pack up because they're hitting the road. Destination tomorrow, Averian Academy. She's talking about how excited she is to see the other kids there. Later, we see the trainer at the entrance of Rennie Town. He's yelling at the guard for letting his student go out. The guard is trying to defend himself. He keeps saying that after the yellow alert was lifted, he had no reason to stop the student, and they wouldn't go far anyway. Just then, Winfred and Ray enter the hall and witness Instructor Ellen grabbing the guard by the collar. The man's intentions are clear. This redhead is someone special, so they need to know where she is at all times. Fuming over Rain's absence when Winfred calls, Ellen turns around and sees her special student standing right next to the knight. Losing her patience, Ellen sees red and snaps at our boy. With a roar of anger, he shouts that he warned Rain not to leave his sight, yet she still snuck out of the academy without permission. He asks how many times it's been this month and calls her an idiot. While our poor guy trembles in fear, Winfred nods behind him, looking as if to say he deserved it. While the angry instructor smacks Ray on the head, he mutters that the alarm went off a month ago, so he can do whatever he wants, adding that Mr. Ellen is boring and old-fashioned. Ray hides behind Winfred while getting a clean beating from Ellen. Our boy says he's leaving soon anyway, and that the instructor will be free as a bird after that. Losing her cool, Ellen makes it crystal clear that as long as Ray is her student, she will never allow him to skip class. Winfred tries to stop the two from bickering. Next, we shift to Rennie Town Square. The chief official orders the students to gather immediately. It looks like there's a call for an emergency meeting. While everyone's gathering, Ray returns with a huge bump on his head. Gary asks how he got him before, guessing that he got caught this time. While Ours says he's unlucky, Sylvia glances at him and starts to blush. After gathering all the students, Adjutant Lency informs them that he will take them to the Averian Knight Academy, and that the journey will take about 7 days. With a dead serious expression, Lency warns the students to follow orders if they don't want to get into trouble. Later, the guard asks Winfred if the way to the academy is clear. When the knight says they'll cross the swamp, the guard panics. It screams that it's still too early for children to pass through that difficult path. Hearing this, Winfred looks at the students and adds that if they want to be knights, they must face certain challenges, and they aren't the only ones being tested. The next morning, all students are getting ready to head to the Averian Knight Academy. Ray is snoring away as they drive out through the gates of Rennie. Meanwhile, a bald, red-headed kid named Kyle is wondering, why didn't we just use the teleporters? If we used it, we'd be in the academy in a flash. Another kid says they could save all that trouble by teleporting. Hearing this nonsense, a boy named Dan fires back at him. Because there are no teleporters at Averian Knight Academy, you idiot. While Kyle wonders if they ran out of money, assuming Averian Academy is on par with Roland Academy, a voice echoes from somewhere. I see someone fell asleep in class. This person mocking Dan and Kyle is none other than our know-it-all, Sylvia. The girl starts telling. Averian Academy is right on the border. So he had to stand not only against foreign invaders, but also against shadow monsters. They also add this. So he had to stand not only against foreign invaders, but also against shadow monsters. They also add this. If they set up a teleporter here and the Academy's defenses fall, there's a strong chance the invaders could warp wherever they want. So the teleporter would be an open invitation to them. Students are stunned when they hear this. They're wondering if this was covered in class. Sylvia's cheeks turn pink when she looks at Rai. But when she notices Jaren looking her way, she turns her head in a panic. And our boy is still fast asleep.